Since the new Zelda is shaping up to have a sad or tragic story, I thought it would do well to recount on some of the more eerie or depressing tales found in the series known as The Legend of Zelda. So here are 7 of some of the more sad accounts found in the franchise, ranging from downright creepy to extreme tragedy. At number 7, we have the DEKU butler's son. During the events of Majora's Mask, Link is able to transform into a DEKU scrub. He does so by using this mask. It is theorized that the essence of the mask derived from this DEKU corpse. Across the events of the game, the DEKU butler remarked how his son went missing. Unfortunately, at the end of the game, he found out his son's fate. What makes this especially sad is that he didn't know what happened to his son. At the end of the story, when everyone is celebrating the carnival and whatnot, the DEKU butler just discovered his own son's death. What makes this all the more tragic is that the DEKU princess actually had a romantic attraction towards the DEKU butler's son. It is not really directly stated how he actually died. It may have been due to the Skull Kid, but what do you guys think? At number 6, we have the King of Red Lions, or more accurately, it would be the end of Wind Waker altogether. King Deafness, Johansson Hyrule, along with Ganondorf fought against each other for a Hyrule gone to ruin. At the end of the game, the king admits that Hyrule is lost and urged Link and Zelda to find a new one to start over. What I like about this tale is that the king knows Link and Zelda have to go off to establish a new Hyrule, and not to repeat the same mistakes of the old one. Eventually, Link and Zelda would establish a new kingdom, which is evident during Spirit Tracks. However, the tragic events concerning Hyrule would repeat yet again, this time in the form of Malladus. So, in other words, Hyrule is more or less destined to be subjected in conflict. At number 5, we have HAFEI. Originally created by the goddess Hylia, HAFEI is a spirit that lives inside the goddess Sword. Over the course of Skyward Sword, she became the Master Sword. However, her identity became lost at the end of the game. This story is particularly depressing since HAFEI notes that her time with Link was the best she ever had. However, she was comforted at the thought that she would always live on at the side of the many incarnations of Link to come. As she said in the end, "Thank you, Master Link. May we meet again in another life." For number 4, we have Navi. During the course of Ocarina of Time, this fairy alongside the hero of time would battle and defeat Ganondorf. However, at the end of the game, Navi just left Link. It hasn't really been confirmed why, but there is an interesting theory. Bottled fairies have a particular function. When used up, they fade out of existence. And during the beginning of Ocarina of Time, all we see is a bright white screen. It is theorized that during this white screen that Navi was actually coming into existence by the DEKU tree. So in other words, Navi's function was to guide Link across his journey. Once that was finished, she faded out of existence. It is possible that she did not want Link to witness her death, so she left the window of the Temple of Time, leaving the hero of time to wonder what exactly happened to her. Now, this is pretty sad. The story becomes even more depressing when we know of the aftermath of this event. Number 3. The Hero Shade. Remember what happened to Navi? Well, because of the mystery regarding her disappearance or even death, Link went off in a journey to figure out what happened to her, possibly unaware that she may be dead for all this time. As a result, sometime after the events of Majora's Mask, the hero of time became the Hero Shade. Because of the timeline split after the events of Ocarina of Time, Link was not considered a hero in Hyrule during the Child timeline. Heck, even in Termina, he wasn't exactly applauded either. The Hero Shade lamented for the rest of his days as an unremembered hero, eventually taking solace in teaching his descendants sword lessons. And all of this happened because Navi flew away. One can only wonder what would have happened if Navi didn't do this. For number 2, we have ANJU and HAFEI. I absolutely adore this side quest since it really flushes out the human element in Zelda lore. What occurred is that ANJU and HAFEI were about to get married. However, Skull Kid ruined their plans by turning HAFEI into a child. Adding to injury, HAFEI lost the sun's mask, which in Terminus culture had a special value when it came to marriage, since when two individuals agreed to join together in union, they would exchange masks. As a result, HAFEI refused to meet with his betrothed ANJU until he found the sun's mask and to possibly figure out a way to return to his normal age. What is particularly interesting about this whole exchange is that ANJU actually thought HAFEI was cheating on her. I am not kidding. During a special cutscene with ANJU along with her mother, they actually considered the possibility that HAFEI left ANJU to be with Crimea. Again, I love the human element found in the side quest. It really flushes out the characters. During the end of this whole ordeal, HAFEI finally met ANJU and exchanged masks. And despite HAFEI's long absence and the fact he turned into a child, ANJU accepted him unconditionally. And even when the world is ending all around them, they both held comfort at the thought that they would die together. Fortunately, during the end of the game, they managed to have a proper service. However, it is unknown whether or not HAFEI managed to turn back into an adult. I like to think he did turn back, since at the end of the game, Majora's Mask lost its power, but what do you guys think? Now, before I reveal number 1, here are some honorable mentions. The end of Minish Cap when Ezlo said goodbye to Link. The end of Link's Awakening when Marin faded out of existence or perhaps turned into a seagull. And the end of Twilight Princess when Mina severed the connection between the Light World and the Twilight Realm. Now for number 1, we have MIKAU and LULU. Personally, I think this is one of the more overlooked stories in Zelda lore. During the events of Majora's Mask, Link comes across an injured MIKAU, at which point he tells his story. MIKAU became a prominent guitar player in a band, in which he met this lady known as Lulu. They both fell in love and had children which came in the form of Zora eggs. However, these eggs were abducted by Gerudo pirates. MIKAU tried to get them back, but suffered fatal injuries as a result. He then begs Link to save his children before finally dying. Link, a little older than a 10-year-old, then had to single-handedly bury his corpse, and then save all the Zora eggs. However, there is still one sad detail, that even when Link saved all the eggs, they would grow up without a father. Lulu probably already knows this. She met a good person to settle down with and have a family, only to have her children be abducted and the father die. This tale particularly has a depressing characteristic, as we have a family robbed of a father. And that is my personal top 7 sad stories in Zelda. And it is really no surprise that most of the stories found in this list have something to do with Majora's Mask. Seriously, that game is depressing. But did you agree with this list, or do you want to add something? Anyways, I enjoyed our time talking to you. Please have a safe and relaxing rest of the day. Subscribe if you like the content you see, and take care.